Hello, and welcome to Anno 1800. This game has quickly become one of my favorite games of all time. Uh, I've put a shameful amount of time into it, and I just can't stop playing it. So I thought I'd try and do something a little different and record some gameplay. Maybe an ongoing series. This game can last forever. So if there's enough willpower on my side and enough enthusiasm, maybe I'll keep it up. So let's just jump right in. New game, Sandbox mode. There is a campaign, but it's more of a guided tutorial. There's some cutscenes. I guess you could say there's a plot, but it's not really that important, I would say. Mostly just distracting. So we're just gonna jump into Sandbox. I know what I'm doing. Right now I'm just picking a character. This will be our avatar. Not gonna see him a whole bunch in the game, but it's just a nice little flavor thing. Let's go with green. Really quick, let me turn this off. I guess just look out. Okay. There we go. Random generated name, Christian Jaeger. Sounds good. Let's go ahead and get started. Oh, right, I forgot. All this stuff is preset, so I'll go ahead and walk you through a little bit of my game settings here. Pretty normal map settings, at least for me. But I'm playing with some characters I don't normally play with. We're playing the pirates on hard. What else? Low income and low influence. Influence is another type of currency, basically, that you have to use to expand. So, I don't normally put these on low, so that should be a fun challenge. Alright, everything looks good. Let's go ahead and get started here. There's a bunch of great art in this game. Not just the background loading screens like you're seeing right now, which is some cool like digital painting concept art. Just the game in general is gorgeous. It's really nice to just sit back and watch it run sometimes. You know, whether you're maybe answering a text or you have a video up in your other monitor or you just want to take a breather for a second. It's a really calm game to just sit and kind of look at everything you built. Take it all in. Good music too. This kid's face always cracks me up. It always looks a little too real and a little too eager for that coin. Okay, we've loaded in. Where's my ship? It's invisible. There it is. Okay, we see some of the other players' ships here, going off into the fog of war. For now, we'll start heading this way. I'll pull up the map. I prefer to be down here. That gets you a little bit closer to some of the other regions in the game. Less travel is required. So we'll just start heading south, and we'll see what we find.
Sails!
You can see these islands in the fog of war here. Once my ship gets close, we'll discover what shape it is, what fertilities it has, and we can figure out if we want to settle there or...
A competitor raised a settlement.
Someone else already settled. Usually I don't know if you can see my mouse in the bottom left here, but in the middle, there's 4 pretty large islands. So, for instance, that's Willie, who just settled the southmost of those islands. Let's go over here. I'll also speed up time, so we're not sitting around too long. So here's one that we discovered.
A competitor raised a settlement.
Someone else settled. That's a pretty big island. Not a bad one.
A competitor raised a settlement.
We don't lose much by settling late. It's not like Civ, where it's absolute min-max. You have to win by being the fastest. It's much more chill than that, so I'm not too worried about taking my time, picking out now and then. Like, we'll see what this bottom island is. Oh, this is the pirates. You can kind of tell by the
I present
fortress
my
here.
humble duty to you.
Ah, see it?
Know what Annie does with royalists. We
All right.
dunk you full of fish.
So, now that I know that she's in this corner, I'm going to start going up this
On our
way.
way.
Maybe there's a good island in this corner we can take. Because she'll be pillaging our trade routes if we're somewhere over here. If our ships have to go by to get to another region, she'll be picking them off pretty easy. So, there's something to be said for placement and natural defenses in this game.
Steersman.
Because sometimes you do go to war and you have to defend your islands. This is not a terrible island to start, but it doesn't have wheat, which is a pretty important starting resource.
Sails.
Alright. We'll look at this island too, because this might have to be our first one, but we'd have to settle another island quite quickly. Let's see what this is. Okay, this has no potatoes, which is unfortunate. That's the most basic resource in the game. Alright, I guess we're taking this island anyway.
Ordnance
That's
plotted.
fine. Oh, it's got a lot of oil in one spot. That's good. I'm thinking long term. You kind of have to plan cities that way if you don't want to reorganize them constantly. Kind of think about where you're going to put stuff long term. Like, for instance, this is where we're going to get our oil for electricity. So there's going to be train tracks that have to run to the harbor. So already I'm seeing that we can't use this side of the harbor just yet.
Steersman.
Come on, boat. Speed time up again. So we can get settled. Late start, but that's fine. I'll go ahead and set a hotkey for this location too. So anytime I zoom out and I'm somewhere else, if I want to check on this island, I just have to hit F5. I go right back to it. So let's go ahead and rename this, because I'm not going to call this Bruggenaz all game. Let's go with Queen's Point. We'll just make it one word because we're fancy.
Flagship at
So
your
for now,
service.
we've got our island started, but there's still a lot of the map that we haven't seen. So let's go ahead and get our ship exploring. You can kind of cheat. Like what I'm doing right now, I don't know if this is what they really meant to happen, but you can see where all the islands are.
Sails.
So you know exactly where to send your ship. Makes exploration a little bit faster than just blindly zooming around.
Rudder.
Once we have this all queued up, we'll know where everyone is. We'll be able to start planning our next island. And get the game really going. Almost done.
On our way.
That should be everything. If not, we'll get the rest later. So, we've got our island. Queen's Point. Let's check it out. We've got 2 iron deposits. That'll be decent for getting us started. We've got a limestone, which will be good for concrete in the future. We have copper, but not zinc. And both those two things go together very well because they create brass. So we'll have to be sourcing at least zinc from another island. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's actually settle. So first things first, we need a marketplace. This is where our lower tier residents are going to get their goods. Alright, I'm just thinking...
The Emporium Exotique looks forward to your patronage.
Okay,
If you
we
can
just found
afford
another NPC. So there's player NPCs, like Willie here, that will settle islands and expand and basically do the same thing we do. But there's also non-player NPCs, like Archibald here, The pirates, who we already saw. Here's Madame Kahina, who sells all kinds of exotic goods from the other side of the world, like exotic animals for your zoo and interesting things like that. There's also a warden that sells us specialists. Basically, we're paying prisoners fees to get them out, their bail, and then getting them out, and then we can use them as items to augment our stuff. They're pretty good. Alright. You can see why this game takes a while to play. You can get distracted very easily, especially trying to explain it. I'm trying to do a lot of things at once right now. Just trying to plan out how this might spread into a natural looking city. I'm still thinking about where our industry and farms and things like that will be later. So I'm thinking we'll have a lot of our farms up here, maybe. We'll probably have some fancy industry over here. This will be our electricity, and kind of in the middle here is where our city will be.
I'm not the type to think all people bad.
There's George
So
Smith.
let's just wait and see how you go.
Another player NPC. Get this placed here. We'll go ahead and start laying out our town. So Anno is a very resource-driven game, and it's all about keeping your economy afloat and making sure each island gets the resources it needs to stay afloat. So everything goes back to your harbor by road. You just need that logistic connection. You can always click on a harbor or a warehouse, which I'll build shortly, and we'll see all the goods we have. The goods teleport between warehouses, so you don't have to literally ferry everything from one end of the island to another, but you still have to get to the island itself, which is a big enough challenge. So first we need some people. I'm going to try and not
A new
build
milestone.
too much at once here, since we're on low income and everything. Don't want to get bankrupt on our first game, or the first few minutes of the game. We're already at a negative balance just from building this marketplace, but soon we'll have income that starts to offset that. But first things first, timber. That's our main building resource in the game starting out, and you use it for almost everything. So we need to get timber production set up. So this is the very first example of a production chain, which is a big thing in Anno. So first we need to build a lumberjack's hut. That will produce 1 ton of wood every 15 seconds. And if we go over here, after that, the wood will be taken to a sawmill, which produces a ton of timber in 15 seconds. Now that's obviously a 1-to-1 ratio, which is simple, but later on we'll get production ratios that are not equal, and you'll be playing with balancing things out, and it gets tricky really quick, but it's really satisfying once you kind of start figuring out how the pieces go together. Anno is really like a puzzle. It's a puzzle of space too, because like 50 hours in, this island will be full to the brim with buildings and fields and all kinds of things. So it's a puzzle in more ways than one, and it's pretty satisfying to figure it all out as you go. So we've got our one lumberjack's hut. Now we can go ahead and put down our sawmill.
We put our love into this.
Another thing you have to balance with buildings like this is workforce. So you can see I have rapidly climbing workforce here of farmers because I put down farmer
Ain't
houses,
perfect, but what
and
if?
farmers are moving in. So these buildings we just built use farmers to work them. So it's just one more mechanic in the game that you have to balance your workforce. You can always have positive workforce, which is not an issue, but if you have negative workforce, it means less efficiency. So stuff will start breaking down quick if you have like a a cascade of workforce shortages because it just
This is the way the
it
farms
snowballs through your whole economy.
This is the way.
So, we can see right here, the farmers have 3 basic needs. They need to be next to a market, which we've already figured out. Soon they will need fish and also work clothes. Now, to unlock those, I need some more farmers. So for now, I can go ahead and build some more houses. But first, let's also take a look at the luxury needs of a farmer. These are schnapps, which is a type of alcohol refined from potatoes, which is one of the reasons I want an island with potato fertility. They also need to be within range of a pub, which is a city building, kind of like the marketplace. So as you go up through higher and higher residence tiers, there's more and more public buildings like this that you have to place. So that's part of the whole city builder part of the game. It's not really a city builder like City Skylines or SimCity or something like that, but nonetheless, we're building a city. So I think of it more as an empire builder, because you're going to be building these on several islands over the course of the game. You'll constantly be adjusting them and upgrading them and all kinds of things.
So lovely to meet you, dear.
We've just met Beryl O'Mara, the final player NPC. So now we know where everyone is on the board. We've almost discovered the whole map. I think my boat should be able to hit the rest of those things. So let's go ahead and build some more farmers. Now the boring thing would be to just complete this block, so to speak. And I am going to do that in some situations. Like, let's just go ahead and do it here, for instance. But I like playing this game, laying things out in an aesthetically pleasing way. If I wanted to be really utilitarian, I would just copy this everywhere. And everything would just kind of look the same. And yeah, city blocks do look like that sometimes, but I'm trying to plan this for a long term. What would a city look like built up? So, you know, we'll have some farmers right here, and as we move closer in, things will get nicer, and you'll have a bustling downtown. Maybe here. I'm still kind of thinking that part out. But the nice thing is, it's going to take us a while to get to that point, so not necessarily a huge worry just yet. So, let's think about what we could do next here. This is a really nice tool that they add to this newest Anno game called Blueprint Mode. Before, you couldn't figure this out. I didn't actually build these houses just now. I just put down a footprint of them, and I can upgrade it so, you know, I don't have to go and place it manually again. But it didn't cost any resources to place, which this is great for laying out spaces before you know exactly what you want to do. In past games, you just built the building and that was it. And it costs resources and money to run and all that. And for someone that likes to decorate stuff, that's kind of a pain. So this is a godsend for someone like me. So I'm thinking we'll have a little offset thing pressed up against the hill here. And then we'll do something with the service building here. We'll probably have like maybe a hospital or something here. But we can fill it up with some greenery and stuff right here, which can look nice. So we've got our basics set up for a decent amount of farmers already. Farmer houses can hold 10 residents total. So this is quite a few already. This is almost 30 houses. Let's go ahead and upgrade a few more. We've still got some wood left. And we're still producing more, so it's not a huge deal. Now by doing that, we just unlocked the fishery. So let's go ahead and place that down too. And let's see, see how this works out. What I'm doing right now is figuring out the tightest we can build this harbor, because I'm gonna need this much beach soon. And it doesn't make any sense to waste a little part by having some dead space. So now we've blueprinted out where these are going to be when we need to. For now, we'll just construct the one, though. And I can't point to it because the tooltip goes away, but where I'm looking, the pitchfork symbol is the farmer. That stands for farmer workforce. So this is going to cost us the dollar sign, $40 per minute or per unit. It's not really broken down by time, but it's taking $40 per unit to run this fishery, and it's going to take 25 of our farmer workforce to run. So we only have 24 left now, so I could build another one, which would be overkill. So instead of doing that, I'm going to wait until we have 100 workers, and then we can start on our work close, which is the final need of farmers. We can put a couple things down now. In the meantime, while stuff starts accumulating, get some benches in this farmer park. Everyone needs an outhouse, so that'll be good. What else we got here? Signpost, maybe? Would that go by the park? Yeah, let's put it right here for now. There might be more houses and stuff here, so we can move it later. Where's our plants and stuff? I guess we don't have those just yet. It's a little early to be decorating in the game, so I guess I haven't unlocked.
A new milestone.
Here we go. Modest Park. This will unlock at 150 farmers, so a few more houses will be able to do more. This whole game is kind of based around that tiered unlocking system. Like, for instance, the fire station is a necessity on any island, because fires can happen anytime almost. So we're going to have to build this stat, but we haven't unlocked it just yet. But we did unlock work clothes, so let's go ahead and deal with those. First, we need to put down a sheep farm. And this is not the final place I want to put this. I will move it, but because we're playing on hard, I don't want to spend too much money up front by building another warehouse. I guess I can go ahead and blueprint where I want it though. Maybe here. And then we'll get everything moved in due course. But right now we're really just getting set up for the game. We just placed down 3 sheep farm modules. I guess they're called sheepfolds for our sheep farm. And then we can see a sheep farm produces a ton of wool every 30 seconds. Framework knitters, same ratio. 1 ton of work clothes per 30 seconds. But you can already see things are starting to cost more. For instance, the maintenance cost on this is $50 per unit of time and 50 farmer workforce. So this is why I'm taking this slowly right now. But you can see, if I click this is a little cart. These are the units that move resources around our island. So because the lumberjack hut supplies goods to the sawmill, it can just take them in a straight run to that, where it will then produce the timber, which is then brought to the warehouse. You can see even right there, there's the cart, and it's got the timber in it right there. So this is a system that works well. another way you could do it was, I'll blueprint just to show an example. If you had your warehouse right here and you didn't have your sawmill in range of the lumberjack hut, the lumberjack hut would deliver it to the warehouse, and then if we had a sawmill over here and a warehouse right here, the goods would teleport to this warehouse, get pulled out, and then put into the sawmill. So it's just more steps that you have to take. It slows things down, and it doesn't seem like a lot now, but it adds up when you have dozens and dozens of goods constantly moving around. So you get good at having these kind of two-step or even three-step routes from production buildings to storage. It's the same thing with this. Sheep farm is going to run stuff to the work clothes, the framework knitters, which is then going to run it back to the warehouse. So now you're starting to see kind of the whole backbone of the economy in this game. Let's see. Our Imperial command ship is idle. It looks like we found just about everything on the map. There's one island
Sail.
left. So I sent him there. Other than that, we've got 3 quests already. They're these little stars. They also show up on the map down here. These are quests which will raise influence with these guys and can also net us goods. So let's see what these quests are.
Put it towards something worthwhile.
Oh, this is easy. He just has a gift for me. Yeah, I usually don't really read these.
Seems we hold the
He's,
same perspective.
The quests fulfill a certain purpose in the game.
Coordinates plotted.
They kind of feel like the kind of objectives you would have in a mobile game, per se, where it'll be something really simple, like sail to this ship and pick something up, and then send it to this ship, and then your mission's done. But it's just one thin layer of gameplay on top of in an absolutely insane amount of other mechanics. So it's a time waster kind of thing, but it's just one more thing that keeps you busy, and it kind of keeps the pace of the game going, if that makes sense. You're doing so many things, the shallowness of it doesn't really bother you. That being said, every little blurb for the quests I don't really read, because it just takes time, and I've seen them all before. And they're not terrible, but they're not especially interesting. Otherwise, I would read them all to you guys. So, let's go ahead and get our pub built. For now, let's put it in this center spot. And you can see it's not 100% in the middle here, so if we tilt it, that should help. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, that's still not even. Oh well. It'll just be off-center. That's fine. So, you can see our farmers have every need met except for work clothes, which is 96% of the way there. Once that's all the way full, we'll have a chance for a full house that we can upgrade to the next resident tier. But in the meantime, what I was going to say is happiness. We've got our pub set up. Now these guys have their access, this is filled up, and you can see the supply effects. You get 12 happiness for the farming workforce on the island, and 1 gold per farmer house. So this pub costs $20 to run, but if we supply more than 20 houses with it, it's already paid for itself. Not to mention the happiness boost you get from it. So the game is well balanced in regards to that, where you're constantly trying to, get the goods set up, but you don't want to stretch yourself too thin right away. Especially on this difficulty setting. I do not want to mess this up. We still have a balance of -80. I'm going to build some more houses for now. They'll bring in some more taxes, which should help get that closer to 0. You're usually in debt for a sizable amount of the early game. So I'm not sweating yet, but it's just something you have to keep an eye on.
If you don't make a change, most often
All right.
no one will.
Our ship got to the quest point. George Smith will now give us a gift.
Good. Keep believing.
It didn't say what the gift was, and it's not on my ship. So it must have been some goods that went straight to my island. Okay, thank you, George. Let's see what Beryl O'Mara has for us.
I'd have laid the job on me regular.
She will give us a collection quest, which is just go find something and bring it back. She'll give us +3 reputation, which is okay. She'll also give us $2,400
Don't you go letting all Beryl down.
for something extremely simple. So we'll go ahead and do that. There's some flotsam here. You can just barely see it, but I've sent my ship there. Once it gets there, we'll pick it up, bring it back to Beryl, get our money. Oh, I thought there was 3 quests, but I guess only 2. Okay. Now we can go ahead and do some beautifying while we're waiting on everything else to get started. There's already a tree on the pub, so I usually build a couple by that. Usually looks pretty nice. Get some random bushes. And how about an apple tree? Really brings the city to life. I kind of say that sarcastically, but it's really true. Because once everything is covered with ornaments, these specific tiles are called ornaments because the only thing they do is they look nice and they generate a small amount of attractiveness for the city, which is one thing that'll keep your citizens happy, and it brings tourists to your city, which is how you get specialists. So, just another game mechanic. But I really like decorating and making stuff look cool and planning it out. So this is pretty basic, but farmers are pretty basic. So they're fine with it for now. Once we get a hospital or something, we might move that here instead of the pub.
A competitor raised a settlement.
Let's go ahead and get our fire station down. We unlocked that when we built all these guys. We're going to want fire stations pretty much everywhere, especially by heavy maintenance buildings, or sorry, heavy industry buildings. Usually things like timber saws or sawmills don't light on fire very often. There's other things like coal mines, for instance, that have a very high chance of that. So I'm not going to worry about one down here for now, but let's go ahead and get one. Let's just build it right here. So you can see this hourglass symbol. I think this is a game balance thing, where it takes them about a minute to actually start working. And I think this is kind of to punish people that don't plan ahead. Because if you have a raging fire, if you set down a fire station, you still have to wait a little bit longer to use it. So, I don't know. It's fairly easy to just plan ahead and put down a fire station, because you'll usually need one sooner than later. And we have a little spot left for another house, and then we can do something right here. These are all the ornaments we have in the game so far. And we'll just be boring. We'll put down a couple bushes and some grass. Alright, so we have a decent sized farmer workforce now. We're at negative $52 per minute, or per unit, which is not too bad. Our ship is where it needs to be. We can go ahead and pick these guys up. They're not guys, it's just boxes of flotsam.
On our way.
Get this last one here. And then this is our quest book over here. It will tell us any quests we have in each region. If we click this, it says
Coordinates plotted.
delivered to the Shady Clipper. Here it is. So I can just set the route for the ship, forget about it, go back to what we were doing. So,
Right here, I
now,
suppose?
we don't have schnapps. Do we want to set that up? Probably. +3 coins. Yeah, it's probably worth doing. before we start upgrading to workers. So I'm going to set up a warehouse right here. And we'll start to fill out farms here. But first, I want to go ahead and do this now before I get into a tough spot with placing stuff later. Like I said earlier, we need everything connected by roads. Oh man, it was almost like I planned that ahead of time. Just one tile out of square. But basically, no, there's our quest. We just
Hit
finished.
the nail on the noggin, ya.
Basically, I'm just drawing a very simple route to complete our connection to the warehouse. This might get adjusted later. For now, it'll do. Let's get our warehouse built. Looks a lot like the level 1 harbor. But once you start building these up, you can upgrade these to have more carts. And then they start looking really fancy and built up. But for now, we'll just stick with the little guy. Blueprint some of these farms. And it's the most efficient to fill out farms like this, like against every little square that you have. And you know, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but it just doesn't look as clean. So I'm gonna start with some more rectilinear shapes. I don't mind jogs like this. You know, this little angle. I mean, you're just gonna have to turn eventually. You can't just be a square. But I find it looks a lot nicer when you try and keep the lines clean, so to speak. That doesn't reach. So there's a few laid out for now. Let's go ahead and get all these blueprints connected. For now, we'll just build one.
Nice day for it.
So, potato farms. 1 ton of potatoes every 30 seconds to 1 ton of schnapps every 30 seconds. So we're still at our simple production ratio here. Let's start building our schnapps stuff out this way. We'll have to have another warehouse somewhere over here. And let's just lay out 3 for now, since we have 3 potato farms laid out. Okay, let's just build 1 for now to keep our ratio even. And then right now, while we're thinking about it, we'll go ahead and put down a fire station, because these schnapps distilleries love to explode. And we're going to want to nip that in the bud as soon as we can. Bam. Okay, now we're 155 bucks in the red. We've got everything fulfilled for the farmers except for the schnapps, which is being made right now. So this will start to fill up. That'll take care of some of our income gap. But what takes care of even more of that is upgrading residents to a higher tier.
You
So
reached a new
let's go ahead
milestone.
and do that for a couple. This costs a fair amount of wood. It's 4 wood to upgrade 1 house, so we just used 20 wood.
Honest work. That's all we ask.
As opposed to just building a farmer's house, which is 2. So things start to ramp up pretty quickly with production levels. Just getting this arranged the way I like. Sure. This will probably get moved later. Like I said, I like to do farmers in one spot, workers in another, but I don't want to be too strenuous on our economy right now. Our ship is still over at barrels, I believe. Yeah, so we'll just bring it back
On our
here
way.
for the time being. Alright, so workers. Look at how many needs these guys have. Sausages, bread, soap. They need to be near a school. For happiness, they need schnapps, pub, just like the other guys, but they also need to be near a church, and they need supplies of beer. Now, beer is something we're going to shoot for pretty quick because beer is the money maker early game. It won't tell us how much money it makes because we haven't unlocked it yet, but it's a lot.
Digs is full of kids. More likely find me
These
out and
guys
about of an
love to
evening,
talk constantly,
seeing what's what.
so it's a little distracting when I'm trying to also talk, but we'll power through. First thing these guys need is sausages. And let's check out the sausage production chain. We need wood for a pig farm, and look at this. For the slaughterhouse, we need wood and bricks. So, we need to set up bricks first before anything else. So, we can see on our deposit list here for the island, we've got 3 clay deposits. I can zoom around each one by clicking on the symbol. So for now, we've got this one that's already on the road that I drew earlier. So we'll just go ahead and start here. It won't let me actually build this warehouse because we don't have enough timber. That's fine. I'll just blueprint it for now. I will also blueprint some brick factories because check this out. The clay pit is a 30-second production chain. Bricks are 1 minute. So you need 2 brick factories per clay pit. So it's a simple ratio, obviously. So bam. Once we have the materials, we'll go ahead and get these set up. Now workforce, clay pit needs 50 workers. Brick factory needs 25. So 2 brick factories, 1 clay pit, 100 workers. We're not even halfway there yet. The farmers you need the workers you need a lot of, because workers do everything in steel mills and weapons factories and all the heavy, disgusting industry that's going to make our island look just terrible. But these poor sods are going to be the ones that we throw in there to get that stuff done. We need a bunch, so eventually you'll see just how much of our island will be taken up by workers. For now, we have a bonus of farmer workforce, so I'm going to upgrade a few more of these
It
guys.
reflects the times.
Here's our newspaper editor deciding to speak up.
To meet our patron is utterly humbling. If there is anything I can do, anything really, imagine it, and we can do it.
That sounds good, bud. So, we have a newspaper. It happens every once in a while. I think it changes now, depending on what part of the game you're in, because it used to get really spammy late game. But for now, you can see there's 3 articles being set to publish. The most important thing, I mean, you can read these for the...
I'm really much better at self-editing on
Hush.
paper.
You can see that there's flavor for all this stuff, but basically you just want to look at the effects. So, as of now, we're going to get 10 happiness and 50% less riot chance if we publish. But if we edit, we can start using propaganda to brainwash our citizens into thinking things are better than they are. For instance, consumerism is probably the one I use the most. Plus 5% income. There's going to be different tiers that get unlocked, like there's a plus 10% income. But for now, we only have the 5%. And I'm not going to use it just because we have a good combo for now. But you can see this will cost 25 influence to use. And we only have 97 total. And that'll refill over time. This is just like a soft cap for our newspaper ability. But for now, we'll just publish without propaganda. When I first started doing propaganda, aside from the ethical conundrum of using propaganda, it really didn't seem like there was a downside to it. You just get a flat bonus for influence. That sounds too good to be true. And it is, because at higher resident tiers, the residents start seeing right through the propaganda. I don't know if it's because they're so intelligent or what the reason is, but basically propaganda is not going to work as well, and it'll actually make higher tier residents pissed off and more likely to riot if we use a lot of propaganda over and over again. So it's a balancing act. Again, another mechanic in the game. We've got 80 workers now. I can stand to make a few more if we could just get to 100. Bam. Perfect 100. And we've still got, let's see, 13 farmers. So I can afford to make another lumberjack hut for 5 farmers. And then what's this? 10. Another sawmill as well. Now, we're starting to have, let's see, we've got a fisher hut. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've already got 6 things on one warehouse at level 1. It's not a great idea. So now I'm going to relocate some of this stuff over here. Let's just put this blueprint one here for now. Once I build this warehouse, then I'll start building this stuff up. But for now, we'll just be overproducing on wood for a few minutes as we catch up. I'll go ahead and speed up time just so we're not waiting as much. I could do some more decorating, but I don't feel like it right now. But look at this. It looks a little silly on fast forward, but there's people gallivanting all around our little green space, our little park. So the city starts looking really cool once you have it built up and decorated.
Bunions, silly horn coot.
All kinds
So
of
I said-
fancy stuff all over the place. And the citizens reflect that too. Like when you zoom in, you can see they're all dressed. They're kind of like in brown. They got like their tweed suit or whatever. Looks like she's wearing like an apron or something. They're farmers, right? But here in the pub, you can see people are dressed a bit nicer. They're in their going out clothes, I guess. And then once you start building higher tier people, they're going to be dressed up and maybe, you know, on their penny farthings, biking around the city or all kinds of crazy stuff. For now, we've got almost 20 wood. We need 10 for a warehouse, so there's that. Sawmill does not require any wood. So we're just starting to cross into the negatives on farmer workforce. -2 is not a big deal. If it was -200, it would be a problem. But for now, let's go ahead and start. We got a clay pit built here. We'll see that start working. This is what I like so much about this game. There's just all these little animations going on and really good sound design and everything. It's just, everything just feels like it's running, you know. You can just sit there and look at your empire and kind of chug away. Let's see. Brick
Everyone
factory.
should work for their
Ooh,
corn.
another quest. This time for almost $5,000 from George
Get
Smith.
up there. Make your case.
Anyway, we just got enough wood for our brick factory. So there, we've got one built. We do need to build the other one soon, but we can wait for a little bit. In the meantime, let's see. I'm thinking something like this, maybe. You know, kind of a similar shape, and it's still a bit of a block, city block design, which I said I wasn't going to do, but we'll do that for the farmer area. I like to do more row style housing for our workers, so these guys will get moved eventually. But you can tell by the tense music that our fire department is hard at work. We've got a small fire at a couple houses here. Here's our guy sprinting to save the children or whatever. Spraying water all over the place. There's some more guys. Alright. Stay
Flagship
strong.
ready for orders.
In the meantime, we'll go pick these guys up. So we haven't seen this guy yet. This is the last non-player NPC. This is the
Just
warden,
how is
Eli
your
Bleakworth.
conscience?
If you zoom in, there's some really cool details on all the NPC islands. But this guy's got a manual labor camp for his prisoners. They're mining and doing all kinds of stuff. So that's what he sells. He sells coal and iron. And this is actually one of the easier ways to get your economy started up in this game. He needs soap, right? You know,
I
the prisoners
attest
get
to your
disgusting
probity.
doing their work. He needs soap to clean them up. So selling soap to Eli is one of the first ways to make a lot of money early game if you need it. So we very well may be doing that. If we look at his items, we can also see he sells specialists. I won't go into a ton of detail on these right now. I'll kind of wait until we run into them again. But basically, they're like +1 items, or you know, they have some kind of good status effect that you can plug into things, and just makes your buildings stronger, or use a different resource than they normally would, or something else. There's so many items in this game. It's over 1,000 for sure. So it's pretty crazy. And by items, I mean all kinds of things, like animals for a zoo, artifacts for a museum, plants for a botanical garden, specialists, there's weapons for warships. It just goes on and on. It's one of the things that keeps the game fresh, because maybe you'll get a legendary specialist that you've been waiting on all game, and that can really change how your islands are laid out, or skip a whole production chain and destroy that stuff, get the money back, all kinds of stuff. So we're at a -4 farmer workforce. We've got 20 wood, so we can build a few more houses.
Means a lot to
Just
us.
for looks, we'll upgrade this guy to the workforce
Place
as
is
well.
booming.
Once we're on a more sure-footed plus-negative balance here, I'll start rearranging stuff. But in the meantime, let's speed up a little more. We'll get some more timber built here, and we'll get our second brick factory going. We've got 3 bricks already from this one, but now that we have 2, we'll really be cooking with gas. So you may have seen me use this a couple times. This is our construction wheel. Paved street. This is one of the things. It's a cosmetic upgrade and an actual upgrade to roads. It makes the carts move faster. It extends the range of public buildings, but it costs bricks. And for now, we don't want to use them, but I am going to put that paved street object on my little quick palette thing here. So you'll see me using this a lot to upgrade stuff or move stuff. It's a very handy quality of life tool. I do architecture for a living, and I'm using digital software all the time, and there's all kinds of shortcuts like that and those kind of programs. So seeing that in a game like this kind of makes you feel like you're working or something like that, but it's a nice tool to have.
Could
sure.
this be my lucky island?
Okay. Willie is asking for permission to settle on this island, Tarperbach. Willie is a 1-star AI. 1 star is the lowest difficulty, and he will always ask permission to settle an island. Let's see what he's got here. Our island's right here. He wants to sell the next island closest to it. This is a giant island. It's got 2 iron, 2 coal, zinc, copper. Yeah, sorry, Willie. This is going to be my island soon enough. I just have to beat the other NPCs to it. The other NPCs are 2-star AIs, and they do not ask before settling another island. So, for instance, George already settled that island I was looking at earlier, which can be tricky to deal with. Let's see. We've got hops and fur here, which is good. 2-nighter will be interesting. We've got copper and zinc. I'm just seeing if there's anything that I am really going to get screwed by not having. But I think as long as we can get this island, Tarperbach, we'll be okay. To sell another island, we'll need steel beams. Do we have any steel beams? We've got 2. We need 8 to actually sell an island. So, unless we can start producing them fast, which I don't think we can, at least faster than a cheating AI can, we'll probably have to buy some, which is fine. That's a very common strategy early game.
On our way.
Alright, we did Smith's throwaway quest. And actually, since my ship is over here already, here, I'll pull up the big map. Since my ship's already here, we need to buy beams from Archie here. So what I'm going to do is zip down to Archie's, then we'll return the quest, then we'll bring our ship back. The nice thing about these quests is they usually give you a long time. This quest gave me 30 minutes. We're still not even halfway done with our time. So we can afford this little detour. Archie's got a quest for us.
my bowels churn afresh,
Delivery
and I
quest
must beg
for
your
Archie.
expertise.
$4,600. Let's see what he wants. Woo. Almost 30 tons of bricks. That might be tough to pull off, but we do have 30 minutes. Let's see if we can do it. That means a lot of workers, because we need another 100 for the next brick clay pit and then 2 brick factories. Okay, now we're gonna dive into the statistics menu. This is a good way to see the needs of your island, whether you're meeting them, whether you're about to not be meeting them, and so on. So for instance, this shows fish on our island. The need for it is a little bit less than 1. You can see it says 1 out of 1, but this bar is not filled up all the way. So it's a little bit less than 1 ton per minute. And we're currently producing 2 tons per minute, so that's fine. But let's see something where the demand is higher. Our sausages. See? Our sausage need went up when we built the worker houses, but we don't have any workers. We don't have any, we don't have any slaughterhouses making sausages yet. So, this is a good resource later on in the game to see, am I producing enough? Here, let's see. There's all kinds of breakdowns. All kinds of breakdowns for things like this. See, if I had a bunch of these built up, you'd see a difference. But
Ship under attack.
no,
Coordinates
I'm getting
plotted.
attacked by Anne. One of her pirate ships is just floating around out here, as she is wont to do.
Steersman.
Oh, I'm just gonna destroy it anyway. It's just a little
Their blood will be
gunboat,
warrior.
so go ahead and kill it.
Steady your aim.
Their ghosts will take you.
Yeah, she's manipulated.
Don't
Whatever.
expect you'll show mercy.
She wants a ceasefire, but she wants 40 grand.
Play
I don't
that
have
blunder.
that.
Coordinates plotted.
But look at that. Her ship dropped some epic gyroscopic torpedoes. These are one-time, like, point-click use weapons that are pretty strong, so that'll be good to have.
Steersman.
In the meantime, let's, I'll speed up time so we can get over here and get these beams. Click the trade goods.
seal upon it.
Let's see, we need 8, so we can just set 8 here. This only costs 1,100 bucks. Not bad.
Superlative.
We still got almost 12,000, so not gonna sweat that.
Coordinates plotted.
So we'll bring the Dusty Hawk back to this clipper, drop off the Twisted Criminals for our quest, get some money from that, get some timber from our island, and then go grab this island real quick before anyone else can. We don't have to build on it right away, but just having it claimed is a good start. Alright, next thing, diplomacy. We haven't even started this yet. Excuse me. Starting to get a dry throat. Had to take a drink. So, this shows all the characters in the game that we can talk to. For instance, Willy Wibblesock. And I am a pacifist in this game. I will. I mean, we're definitely gonna have to build up defenses for Anne until we can afford a ceasefire with her. You can always get trade rights and even alliances with pirates. You basically just have to pay them enough money. But we can't do that just yet. So for now, we're just going to flatter everyone and try and get a little bit more reputation with them. Because that just makes it a little bit easier to take care of diplomatic stuff in the future.
Sun's out from beyond.
This stuff is not a guaranteed success. It just says medium high for barrel, for instance. So... yeah,
This won't
I didn't
do
win
at
all of them. I lost this one. But still, 52 reputations, not a bad start. Oh, and while we're here, you can always get a comparison of our empires. So, for instance, our military is the same because we only have the command ship, but her economy is much better than mine because she's an AI and she doesn't follow by the game rules. The AI builds on a script. It's not actually constrained by real resources, which is a little unfair, I think, but also I don't play the game to out-economy the AI either, so it's not a big deal to me. And there's plenty of people that can deal with the AI. There's people that play with 3-star AI all the time, and I don't mess with that. That's not what I like about this game. Oh, look at that. We've got 29 tons of brick for Archie. That'll be perfect, because we can get rid of that, and then we'll have a few bricks left over to get our sausages started. Where do we want to set up those? We're going to have a bunch of nasty industry over here, like for instance our oil wells. So, nasty industry should go over here.
You've got something for me, haven't you?
Alright.
I appreciate that.
Turned in our
Really, I
quest
do.
for George.
Aye, aye.
Let's go ahead and grab... We've got a... Our storage was actually full of timber. We produced so much. So I'll grab a full stack. Stack is always 50 tons. So a full stack of wood. We've got our steel beams. And then let's go ahead and also throw in 29 tons of bricks, which we will take to Archie's... Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Once we get this island purchased or settled, I can go ahead and set up my camera angle for here as well. While our ship is sailing over there, we can pay a little bit more attention
Life as
to
good
our
as this. Pigs might blow.
main island here. Let's see how our goods are doing. Still overproducing fish just fine. Schnapps are getting close. Okay, we'll probably have to build more schnapps soon-ish. In the meantime, we can afford to build all these farmers. And let's see if I can make this a square. Yeah. See, there'll probably be some green feature or something like that right here. We can fit a service building in there if we need to. Alright, we've got 6 tons bricks, so we can go ahead and get started on our disgusting industry over here that will be comprised of pig farms and slaughterhouses. I'm going to blueprint this because we've got some crazy angles going here. But this is where it starts to get a little bit more complex. Pig farms, you need 5 of them. And they're these 3x2 shapes. Let's do that. Trying to do this in my head without blueprinting it over and over again. this is the puzzle piece aspect of the game. Let's get rid of this one. Now, the one that I just had here would have worked just fine, but there's a DLC that came out called Bright Harvest, which lets you use silos and tractors, and they're complete game changers. So basically, I left a slot here for this one as well to have silos. But once you get a silo built, the warehouse will deliver grain from a grain farm into the silo. The silo doubles the production of the animal goods, and tractors basically quadruple the output of crop farms, but they're a lot harder to get built up. But for now, I just want to explain to you, I'm planning this ahead of time. Helps if our warehouse is built. This looks a little funky, admittedly, but once we get some more pig farms placed here, any farm modules that are placed against each other just blend into one. So this will just click one giant, disgusting mud pit with pigs rolling around. And oh, look at that! You'll love it. Delicious. Now let's construct their final resting place, the slaughterhouse. Doing that put us at -40 workforce, so let's go take care of that. Upgrade.
You reached a
Somehow
new
get us
milestone.
right back to 0. We got a new city status. We unlock more things. Most importantly, a sailing shipyard. While I'm thinking about it, let's get the silence out. Another island I can't pronounce the name of. We're not doing that. We've already got Queen's Point. Let's see. We've got a nice river, some mountains. How about Misty Ridge?
Flagship at
Sort
your
of, kind of
service.
a reference to Misty Mountain, huh? When I built this island, it automatically put the bricks in the storage. So I'm going to get those back
On our
out.
way.
Send that to Blake's Clipper. We got 17 minutes left, more than enough time. So we'll get that quest done. You might have seen earlier, we've got a little quest in our own town here.
I got
Residents
something perplexing
give you
needs
quests
setting
as well.
straight.
Bloody hounds have the whole neighborhood terrorized. That means
How
dogs show
about
up
a cup of coffee?
and you just click
You've
on
been
the dogs.
playing for 2 hours.
Ah, yes.
I know you're busy, but I've a favour to
Shut up. Anna likes to tell you when you've made terrible decisions with your life and you've spent too much time in the game. It basically every 2 hours is like, do you really want to do this right now? The answer is usually yes. So I've seen quite a few of those as they start to ratchet up, and I don't know if there's a point where it dials a wellness check, but I wouldn't be surprised.
We'll gather and toast
Alright,
your
we
out.
found the dogs. They were just some little pack of mutts running around. She gave us 20 tons of wood for our trouble, which wasn't very useful, but sometimes those quests can give amazing rewards. So we kind of screwed out that time, but not a huge deal. Took 2 seconds, really. Just clicked her, and then clicked the dogs, that was it.
I'll boost to
Alright. Our workers, starting to get their sausages filled. But next we need bread, which needs grain. Where should we put those? I try and not have grain and stuff right by the industry, just from a visual standpoint. Doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but I'm trying to think of where else we could put it. We've got a little bit of beach here, so we don't want to build too far out right here. But I was hoping to have some city stuff right here too. thinking this will be our big fancy power plant electrified industry here, like the super heavy industry from late game will probably be here. So we don't want to put anything here either. I guess we can run some of it here for now. We'll have to do. So bread is where it starts to get even more tricky. 1 ton of grain per minute, 1 ton of flour per 30 seconds, 1 ton of bread per minute. So it's basically just 2, 1, 2. Not the trickiest, but I always like to have the windmills in the middle of the fields. I think it looks the best. And we need 144 modules, basically tiles, of grain farms. So these start adding up fast. Once you have, once you have tractors, it goes up to like 250 or something like that. Basically, it's worth thinking about where you're going to expand with those later. For now, build these. These are quite expensive. I should have shown that. These are $500 a piece. So is our flour mill. The bakery's $1,000. So we're already starting to hit the point where it's like, it's starting to get a little expensive to do everything. Let's see how our
Happy as a pig in muck.
Yeah, see, I'm already starting to fall behind here. We're already pretty low on fish.
Ah, you're ready.
And the work clothes are also starting to slack. And look at this. Too many transporters. Loading delayed. We've got too much stuff going on at this warehouse. So I'll have to move this stuff.
That really is first rate.
We got Archie's bricks. So he's happy now. We got some more money from that. So now you can see why I'm doing those quests. Speaking of which, there's some more here.
Got to start somewhere.
Pick up quests.
Let's see what you conjure up.
Sails!
Let's barrel one.
You'll get the job done.
Photography
and
quest.
It's
This is
a
even
simple
easier.
business, see.
I cannot believe this is a quest type in this game. Look at this. Take photo. You get a little camera. You wait until the arrows show up. You left click. Then you left click again.
Oh,
Bam.
little
$4,000. It's so ridiculous that that's a thing.
Let's see if you're as
Troy wants
principled
to
as
pick
you
up quest
claim.
2 for $5,000.
Fight for it.
Look
You
at all
have
these
to.
easy games or easy missions.
Coordinates plotted.
And that's at Blake's. I should have taken that quest first. Now our ship has to turn around and go back. Oh, that's a bad call though. Look at that. Wow. I almost ran straight into those gunboats. That wouldn't have done. I'm surprised they didn't see me.
Coordinates plotted.
Just trying to micromanage this a little bit so I don't get my command ship killed right away. That would be unfortunate.
Coordinates plotted.
Speed up time and double check that works. Oh, there's a... Oh, they're turning around. Alright. Let's get out of here. It's not worth it. I'll pick this thing up first. We still have 30 minutes, and I'm not trying to deal with potentially running into those guys. I don't know if that was them patrolling or if they actually noticed me, but usually you can get out of aggro range of them if you move quickly. Let's see how Misty Ridge is doing. 2 iron, 2 coal, zinc and copper. That'll be good for our brass later. We'll have a ton of concrete if we need it. Hops, which we need for beer. So I'm gonna have to start building up this island for hops production in a little bit here. Let's see how much that costs. Oh, I don't have beer yet. I don't have it unlocked yet. We'll never know. That might be a good place to stop for the night. It's it's a decent stopping point because we basically got this island in a well, I guess I should build some bakeries first. But I need 50 workers. Okay, this is one of those games where you will never stop playing it if you just try and do one more thing. It's exactly like Civ with the one more turn. So I'm stopping here for sure. But we've reached a semi-self-sufficient state. Once I get the bakeries, then we'll start to have a decent amount of goods taken care of for our workers. They'll be happy. They'll be bringing us in some more money. Next time we'll be building up this island with hops, get our beer set up, then we'll probably not worry as much about our money problems. We'll finish these quests. They've still got plenty of time, and thankfully this is still going to be here when I load the game back up. So it's hard to forget about this stuff unless you take a long break. So thanks for tuning in. It's probably felt like kind of a slow start for most people. I know city builder games aren't the most interesting to watch, but maybe if you come across a later video where you think the buildings and everything look really cool, if you want to see how it starts, here it is. So, thanks everyone. I'll catch you next time.